evening, everyone. How you doing tonight? Welcome to the North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project. I'm Tom Cardos, your host, and we're gonna have a great guest on tonight. I'm gonna welcome back Robin Haynes, Mccray.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, Robin, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me back.
It's glad to have you back. So I hear you're stuck in Nebraska.
As of earlier today, they finally sent me my check-in information on through an email that says I have a flight. But they also did that Sunday night. Tuesday night they didn't, and they didn't Wednesday night. And then they finally put me off until Saturday. So we think, we think that I'm headed home tomorrow. It's been wonderful to spend extra time with Harriet McFeely because she is the best. But yeah, I need to get home. My husband's back home now.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you're excited to get home back to your family, your land, and
I
try to
know.
roam the woods behind your house, along your wooded
Well,
areas.
and the Bigfoots are screaming and carrying on. That's what they do, and nobody's there. And my husband they didn't take him off the flight registry. He had a ticket waiting for him, and he was going to wait for me. And I was like, no, like you've got to work. We took off work for him so that we could do this conference, which was fabulous, by the way. And we loved every minute of it, but he had work to do. So he was just sitting there going, no, no, I'm not going to go. And I'm like, yeah, you are. You got to work. So I stayed here and spent some extra quality time with Harriet and the Bigfoot here. She's got a huge assortment of things.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Nebraska is pretty squatchy. There's a lot of woods out there. It's not really super mountainous and hilly, but it has a good amount of woods where you can, get to them at.
Yeah. Now where she's at, it's really not, excuse me, heavily wooded, but there are woods. Yeah.
Kind of like me. I'm not heavily wooded. I'm in like the outskirts of, Charlotte, but I have a good amount of woods and a nice trail. And then it kind of connects with a greenway trail with a huge creek that goes 20 plus miles. And it's perfect
Yeah.
habitat for
But
them to, roam.
yeah, they don't mind going into the city. I mean, I've not noticed them ever be shy about it.
Really?
Oh yeah, when we were in Michigan, they had them in Detroit, and we're
Well,
going to be headed back to Michigan shortly. So
I know Marvin in the chat. He told a story back in the '70s of one out in Baltimore, and actually came out into like the streets, like the main, like the city part
yeah.
of Baltimore, and like just near, like probably near an army base. I think is what the article said, and it was just roaming free for a couple days, and there were sightings
Mhm.
for like that whole weekend. There were sightings. That's from what I remember.
Yeah, it's crazy. We lived in a small town at one time, and there was like a gas station, a restaurant, a pizza place, and a itty bitty tiny grocery store. That was the whole town. And they would go up to the restaurants and they'd go and get food out of the dumpsters every night. I mean,
You know,
everybody saw them. It wasn't like they hid themselves.
there's an area not too far from where I live, and it's a bonefish grill. So
Mhm.
they're mainly food on their menu is fish. Well, their
Oh
dumpster
yeah.
is alongside the woods, and on the other side of the woods, but between the dumpster, there's like a little power line track, and it's just huge trees. And every time I like drive over that area, because there's a bank of one of my bank machines over there, you
Mhm.
can see all kinds of breaks, bends, X's, and it's like, yeah, they're hanging out here because they're waiting for the fish to get dropped off in a dumpster and have a little field day, little
Yeah,
buffet.
they would catch fish from the lakes around my house. This is back in Michigan. And I would find fish buried all over my property. You would see where there's little dirt mounds were at where they had dug it out. They'd put the fish down in the dirt and they'd cover it back up,
Really,
and then you'd see it in a couple days, it'd be empty. They'd come and get the fish.
or some fish. Or if they don't come get them, what they turn into fish bones.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, so I was trying to get your UFO footage up if we can get to sharing that. You had some UFO recently going on your property, and it's pretty amazing.
Well, to begin with, and I've talked a little bit about this on other shows as well. The first abduction that I remember being done to me was when I was 4. And when I was on the ship, I was told at that time it was the Greys, and they had said that I had been there previously. And I've been taken multiple times since then. I've been out in my yard in Michigan and had ships laying down in the yard, I've been levitated. I mean, I've done all that. And now we're in South Carolina for now until we move back, hopefully by the end of the summer. And they're a reoccurring thing. I have a photo, and if you can't get them to play tonight, I'll get them to you, and you're welcome to put them up for yourself. I don't mind. And it's a triangular shaped craft above the garage, and below it is an open portal with the head coming out.
Oh wow,
But
that's pretty
we
wild.
see multiple people that come to my house have seen the UFOs.
I mean, I think we discussed this. You're like 2.5 hours from me. I really need
They're
to get
not
out.
far from you.
I need to get out to your place before you move out because
Yeah,
I can get some really good
it's
experience.
crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, I've gotten lizard man pictures in my backyard, Bigfoot pictures, dog man pictures, little dimensional creatures. It's just crazy. It's like that everywhere I go. I don't think it matters what state.
yeah. I guess you kind of have that attraction where they kind of just they flock to you because you can sense them and communicate
Yeah.
with them. So you're kind of like Whoopi Goldberg in the movie Ghost. Like they all know you.
Yeah, well, I talk to the ghost too, so I guess so. We've got two in the house right now.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Well, I was able to get your footage if you want. If we're gonna go to
Sure.
sharing it, we can kind of just let it play for a minute or two, and then you can kind of discuss it because this is your property in South Carolina, correct? Where it was taken.
Yes, absolutely. The footage was taken on my from my front porch. And just so credit goes where it should, I was not the one that filmed it. I was standing there. My son-in-law did. So he's the photographer on this. It was not me. I'd love to take the credit, but I'm not taking somebody else's credit.
Okay.
And this was turned in, unbeknownst to me, I probably would not have done this. He was so excited, he turned it over to MUFON. And we did receive um, confirmation from MUFON. They got it. They did what they claimed was a thorough investigation. There was nothing in our space that was registered through any terminal, any airport, anywhere that, as far as they were concerned, this was not terrestrial. It was extraterrestrial, and that they considered it a class 1 sighting.
That's pretty awesome. If MUFON can credit your sighting and say it was
I
tangible,
know.
it's pretty
Who would
good
have
because
thought?
they always try to shut down any kind of evidence that comes their way. They're shutting it. Well, I
Mhm.
mean, my one friend Alan that I had on a couple last year, I think, and he recently passed, but he actually had a report back in North Carolina back in I think the 80s, and he said this thing was the size of a football field, triangular shape, and he reported
We
that
had
to
one.
and he reported that to MUFON, and they actually reported on that was a tangible sighting. So,
We had one. Dr. Igor Borsteff and Janice Carter were on their way to my house,
mm,
and they had gotten lost. And it was by this time 1:30 in the morning. And I live back in the woods. I have neighbors, but I'm way back, like 3 miles into the woods. And so I had driven the car, which to the end of the driveway, which is not far. But we have a floodlight out there, and the hurricane had knocked it out. So they had never been to the house. They didn't know how to find it. And I said, when I see a car coming down, I'll just flash my headlights on so that way, it's the right house.
mhm.
So that's what the plan was. And I'm out there and I'm talking to a very dear friend of mine on the phone when this huge triangular craft, it was like half the size of a football field, literally. And it was just at the top of the trees. And it was going down the road, and it got to my driveway. And of course, at that time, the lights weren't on. And my friend's going, take a picture, take a picture. And I'm looking at the underside of this craft. It was absolutely unbelievable. And it's just hovering there. And I said, I'm not stopping to take pictures. You could be the last person I talk to, you know? And
Yeah,
so I didn't know what to do. And I wasn't frightened. I was more amazed. So I turned the headlights on. And when I turned the headlights on, it immediately cloaked. You never saw it leave. You saw no kind of gas or anything that would have pushed it away. It just was, in a blink of an eye, it was gone.
nice. Okay, here we go. Come on. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Just
Just for
wow.
reference, just as a reference point, what looked like the peak of a little house is actually my pump house for my well. And then everybody always asks me this, so I'll just put it out there. Those cages that are in the front yard um, are in my front yard because one is a pen that my daughter has her ducks in, and I would never put that back inside the woods where they could become lunch for anything. I don't ever have a problem with any of the Bigfoot bothering my animals at all, but we do have coyotes and various things. So that's why the ducks are in the front yard, right off of my window of my bedroom, so that I can hear them if they have a problem at night. And the other cages, I had an animal rescue, and I now, due to health reasons, I've had to close it down. And I have what was left of the rescue cats are in those pens. They have houses in it and various things in it. So that's what the cages were in the front yard. They're just safer in the front yard by my window than even attempting anything in the back.
That's pretty, like, I've never seen anything that clear and that perfectly, like, just the way it's the light flat. What was the red thing? Because it looked like there was a red light behind the UFO. I don't
There
know
actually
if
was
it was
two
solid.
crafts. There was two crafts. And originally, in the beginning, my son-in-law and my daughter were out on the front porch, and they had hollered for us, my husband and I, to come out. We came out. Pat and I are watching this, and in the beginning, it looked like one craft, and you could literally see it rotating and spinning, and you could see the colors. And then it seemed to separate. And my own perspective from what I saw, I got the feeling that it was like a scouter craft that was behind it, almost like it released it. And all of a sudden it separated. Then you saw the red one behind it, as well as the main one in front.
Yeah. Got a quick question from Odessa. Can you see the
Sure.
screen, Bill? Okay.
Let's see. I have had that. Yes. I have had that happen to me before. In fact, one time it was actually really crazy because I wasn't asleep. I don't know. They must have thought I was. I was sitting up in bed watching a TV show, like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I felt myself get sucked through a wall. And next thing you know, I'm being levitated up. And fortunately, I had Bigfoots out in the yard, and I'm like, guys, like literally, don't let this happen. I'm not in a panic. I was strangely calm. There seemed to be a being that was floating outside of this craft. And the next thing I know, I got dropped on my bed. I never got taken to the craft, but um, at that particular time, I got dropped on my bed so hard that it flung me back, and I hit my head on the wall. I ended up with a concussion for 2 weeks.
Damn.
But besides that, I have at times been taken out of my bed and brought back. Yes, and I've had them show up in my bedroom before.
So you've actually seen them in your bedroom?
Oh yes.
Are these
Fortunately, I do energy work, which means and I teach a lot of people this. You can take the energy from your body, you can shoot it out from your hands or all around your body as a way of protection. And it's the equivalent of when you get zapped by a Bigfoot. And I was in bed watching TV. My husband was asleep next to me. I looked at the end of the bed and there was three there, and then one was standing next to me. And then I couldn't move. They put this thing over my head, which reminded me of an upside down colander, only it was rubber and it had tentacles that went all down my face. It was a living thing because the tentacles were like wiggling all over. I couldn't catch my breath. I don't know what they wanted, but I couldn't catch my breath. And I started to panic, and I thought, practice what you preach, girl. You teach everybody how to zap everything with energy. Just do it. And you don't have to be mobile to do it. You can just focus and shoot it out from your body in all different directions. When I did that, they were gone. And that particular group hasn't been back.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. So real quick, my friend Mark from Squatch in Indiana, he sent me a picture of something in like 20 to 30 feet up near a cemetery. It's kind of in a V of a tree, and it looks like almost looks like an alien, or just it's crazy looking. But I mean, I'll send you the picture, or
Yeah,
I'll have
please
Mark.
do.
Yeah, Mark Holt, send me that picture again. I'll send it to Robin and see what she thinks of it, because
Yeah,
I mean,
and
it's crazy looking.
yeah, and like I said, when I get done, I will send you that photo of the triangular crap above the house with the portal underneath of it, and you can see the head. And then I also blew it up so you could see just the portal with the head coming out of it.
Mhm.
It's just incredible. It's really creepy. You see this head with these big eyes, these big almond shaped eyes.
Wow, that's crazy.
I'm trying to see if I can get it to send from my other phone to you now, and then you could use it. But I don't know if I actually have it on my other one. I'm looking. Yeah, I do actually. All right, I'm going to forward this to you, but and we will see if I don't know if you can get this up for people to see or not, but we can try it. The worst it can do is network, right?
I finally figured out how to share videos from YouTube to my StreamYard, so I got that computer illiteracy part knocked out down in the bud. So thank God I figured that out. Thanks to my tech friend Brian.
Well, I just now forwarded you, and I'm sending the blow up of the face coming out of the portal. I don't know if it'll be any help to you now, but you are welcome to share it if you so choose.
Okay, let's see if
Darkwoods, hey babe. He's
Dark.
awesome.
Yeah, I was talking to Darkwoods earlier today, and he was like, listen to everything Robin says because she's the real deal. I was like, yeah, I know she. That's why.
Well, as soon as I get back, I will be contacting him. I think they were trying to get a hold of me, and I haven't had the opportunity yet to get back with them. So if he's out there, I will. As soon as I get back, I promise you guys you'll hear from me. I really think the world of him. He's a sweetheart. His girlfriend is just as precious as he is.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good to have good people on your corner. And speaking of
Yeah.
good people on your corner, I mean Duke. I mean we borrowed that from Duke's page. That was actually well, it's Robin's footage. She gave me permission, but Duke, World Bigfoot Radio, actually posted it on his YouTube. But since
Hmm.
Robin gave me permission, I don't think Duke would mind as long as I had permission from Robin. So to
Right.
just the UFO footage because I mean that was some really crazy like I mean that's mind blowing. That's like something you don't even see on you know you don't even see stuff that good for people doing like it on their Photoshop and TikTok, like that kind of quality of
Yeah.
real. I
Yeah.
mean,
And Duke's the best. I absolutely adore him. He's the real deal. I really give him credit. Number one, if it wasn't for him, I would not have met so many people. Like, honestly, nobody knew who I was, and they really don't now. But I mean, I obviously more people know about me than they did before, but I just kind of stayed low key. I do my thing. I work with the people that contact me and ask for help or just somebody that they need to talk to. And Duke is the one that kind of brought me out of hiding in the shadows. But he's legit. Like he vets his people. He knows what he's talking about. He has good people on. I've met more wonderful people due to him. Like I give him all the credit in the world. It's not me, it's him. And we had the best time. He was at the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. We had an amazing time. Christy Sci-Fi was there. Like it was, old home week, so it was great. They did a brilliant job at the conference.
yeah, I was chatting with Christy Sci-Fi. I was gonna have her on sometime soon as well.
You should. She's
She
amazing.
said she said she would. So
Yep, totally legitimate. Like believe her. She's good.
okay, I'm sending you the two things from Greg Holt that he sent me. It kind of almost looks like a dog man up in a tree, but it's crazy looking. He's got one circle. He's got it enlarged. There's two pictures of it.
Yeah. I don't think that's. You know what? What I'll do is I'll lighten it and try to enhance it, and then I'll let you know what my opinion is for whatever that means. But yeah, I appreciate you sending me the photos. I'll take a look at it.
Yeah, I
If
mean you've
from
got
what
one.
I'm looking at, I don't think it's a dogman. I think you're looking at another hybrid. And what's happening is the ETs are very hard at work right now creating hybrids.
Hmm.
And most of them are done by ET DNA, human DNA, and whatever else they put in the mix.
Right.
We already know what the Bigfoot are because of Melba Ketchum's study, which was, regardless of all the problems that everybody attacked her with that were really not even real, is legit. The Bigfoots, I had talked to them prior to ever knowing Melba or the study. They told me they were human like me and star people. And then the dogmen, when I've asked them what they were, and I have not had dogmen tested, they said they were canine, human, and ET. Lizard man would be lizard, human, and ET. So, there is a lot to that.
Yeah, and I think. I mean, do you think that the government is making these,
They do
genetically
as
modified?
well. Yeah, 100%. Like, I have never had problems with dogmen. They have helped me throughout my lifetime. They've been kind to me. I have talked to some that were aggressive, that were bothering people. But you have to understand, not only are ETs creating hybrids, so are the government. And the government, the ones that they create, whether it's a dog man or whatever, they're trained killers. That's what they do.
Hmm. More like a super soldier killer, right? You think?
Yeah, but they do. They create hybrids. They capture the Sasquatch and they do different things to them and plant them and create hybrids using them as well.
That's pretty sad because I'm sure once they're hybrids, that they lose part of their conscience that their normal conscience that they have now.
Yeah, and they're not thrilled by it either.
No, I wouldn't be. I mean, they're taking part of your kinfolk and like making clones out of them. You wouldn't be happy either.
Yeah, exactly.
Alrighty. Now, I don't know if you're okay with this, but I know you were talking with some other person on recently. I think it was Duke, talking about certain things that happens from certain researchers because
Hmm.
they didn't like you or they had a problem with you. If you want to kind of go into that, because that's the kind of like the
Yeah,
kind of
I
research I was
didn't
talking
even,
about.
yeah, I didn't even take it as a personal attack. It was more one person, it was definitely a personal attack. That was in Siberia, and that was because I was a contactee and I didn't have the letters PhD in front of my name. And just pointing it out there that regardless of whether you have a PhD or not, and I support the scientists involved in this research. I would never denounce that or take credit from that. But the truth of the matter is, just because you have a PhD doesn't mean you have contact. They need the contactees. If they want to get through to the Bigfoot, they need the habituators, they need the contactees, and they need the people that actually have contact and knowledge of this type of people. And so I'd gotten there and I was treated poorly by him, not by the people in Russia. They treated me fantastic. I never will you hear me say anything bad about that. But I was told I needed to leave Russia because I was a contactee, therefore I meant nothing. And if I was legitimate, I would have invited this particular PhD to my home. And I said, number one, hell will freeze over. You will never get near my guys. Like, I will never help you get near them ever.
So
And this is
this
a
is a world renowned doctor that's on a lot of TV shows
yes.
that to be an expert because he's got some cast of footprints. I'm not going to say names, but I'm sure people know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I will never say names either. Yeah. I don't
Uh,
say names. I don't agree with that. But yeah. And this is a person that has admittedly said, other than a shadow of one, I've never seen one. And I can't prove the shadow was him, was a Bigfoot. And so he said, well, you're definitely a hoaxer because you would have invited me to your home. And I said, you can plaster I'm a hoaxer all over the place because I've got enough people to support and they've seen what I've seen at my home. It's not like it only happens when I'm alone. Dr. Igor Borstov has spent the last 11, 12 years visiting my home on and off. And so if, you don't want to believe me, I'm fine with that. It's not my job in this lifetime to prove it to anybody. But while you're in your office cutting down everybody, I'm going to be the one out in the woods playing with the Bigfoot.
and not only that, they're in your office. They're charging $15,000 to do 5 minutes of footage on a TV show because they're a doctor.
Yeah,
Doctor.
I don't play those games. I don't. I
Yeah.
work with hundreds of people all around the world right now. I don't charge a penny. I never will. I don't think someone's income should be a determining factor on knowledge. And I don't think it's not my job to prove anything. I'm not even out there trying to teach anything. If somebody needs to contact me, they either need to just download to see if I think that what they saw was legitimate or what it was. Do they need help or finding a way to live copacetically around these things? I am more than happy to help. I don't have a problem with that, but I don't personally feel or morally feel that someone should be believed or not believed or denied information based on what's in their bank account.
Yeah, it's just
So,
because it's not even that. Like they just you were kind of like discarded, pushed off to the side, and like
Oh yeah,
because
totally.
you're not a famous, because you're not a doctor or people. But I think honestly, I think it was the agenda too, because you don't support the ape theory agenda that they do.
Oh no, never.
You know, a
I
hominid.
never
Hominid
did.
is not ape.
Yeah, I never did believe that. Even as a small child, and they would be around me all the time, as well as the dogmen did, as well as the ETs did. I never believed. I remember at one point in time in my early 20s, I thought, well, they're all covered in hair and everybody thinks they're an animal. And I'm trying to now get my brain on board with they're an animal, and I can't do it. They have language. Okay. They can read, they can write, they have an alphabet, they have a culture, they have laws. All of these things mean that they are a people. And as far as the question that just got put up, as far as the ETs go, the government has created some hybrid ETs, and the things that the ETs have created, some are good, some are bad. There's good and bad in everything. So I'm never going to be that girl that's going to say to you that everything the ETs create are good or bad. But I'm also not going to be that girl that says that all the Bigfoots are good or bad, because there's a balance in all of them. So hopefully
That's
that answers the question a little bit.
just like people. I mean, there's good people and there's bad people.
That's exactly.
See that? Here's a question. I don't know if it's like an answer
Let's see.
question or a guessing question, but it's a good.
I don't believe that they have. I know there is a new study that came out that said that, one that they believed was technically a Bigfoot. Now they are not believing that it is, that it was, from Africa, or, I'm not really sure on that, but
I
I
think
don't think it's ever been said. I know, as far as what I know to believe, there's not a set type of human that they came from. Putting this out there, it is not Nephilim. I know there's a great large amount of people that believe it's Nephilim. They get very mad when you say that they're Nephilim. They actually get mad. And, I know personal friends of mine who I love and cherish believe they're Nephilim. And again, it's not my job to prove anything. I think everybody's entitled to believe what they want to believe. But when you ask them, they get very agitated when people call them Nephilim.
yeah, they don't like that, huh?
No, they get mad. They don't even like Patty. Like I can't even tell you what they put me through over the Patty thing. Really, like I have a friend that I do conferences for. I don't do a lot of conferences. Um, Number one, any podcast I do, any show I do, any conference I do, I get Bigfoot approval. Okay, this is their information, not mine. So if they don't want it out there to that particular person, it's not happening. Finding Bigfoot when it was in its heyday contacted me multiple times. Nobody will ever see me on Finding Bigfoot because they didn't want me there. And I didn't believe in the show anyway. I really liked like Cliff and Bobo. I thought they were wonderful, but that was as limited as it was going to be. But when it came to Patty, they believed that her to be a traitor of their people. And it was based on the fact that she walked towards the rest of the clan instead of leading everybody away. And so that's why they had her a traitor. And this person's friend of mine, his name is Dr. John Stamey. In fact, we just did the Georgia Bigfoot Conference, and he wanted to have a celebration for Patty, thinking he was doing the correct thing. He's a very kind-hearted person, and they threw a fit and they said, you will not attend. And I said, what do you mean I won't attend? I always do his conferences. And they're like, no, you cannot. You will not go where they will praise her. Okay, so I called him and I said, listen, here's the big thing. I can't. And so he canceled what he had planned on doing as far as remembrance for Patty because of it, so that I could attend.
That's another thing a lot of people do. Like they make t-shirts. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad promoting t-shirts and stuff for like conferences, but the way I'm seeing it now, it's almost like you're exploiting the Sasquatch to make money off of them. And I don't even know if I want to be on board with doing that for myself, because I was thinking of putting like my own, like some kind of merch or t-shirts out there. And I'm like, maybe it's not a good idea, because if I'm exploiting them to make money off of them, that's not a good thing, because what are they getting from it? They're not getting anything from it, but I'm getting.
Well, I will say this about it. We do have hominology t-shirts that we sell. If you're going to do a t-shirt, I don't really find that there is a problem with t-shirts, and I don't try to sell a great deal of them. I did for a while when we first started the Hominology Project that Dr. Igor Borsteff's in charge of.
Mhm.
I really don't push them, but don't use the Patty emblem.
Right.
Now, when we did ours, and again, I haven't sold them in quite some time. The picture on it, we had a local artist draw, and it was of a Bigfoot that I knew. So we had that individual's permission. Or if you have an abstract, just
Right.
don't do the standard Patty photo. That's what they don't like. They don't like it when people charge others to cart people into their territories and exploit where they live. You can make they don't want you making money off of them. Selling a t-shirt, they don't have issues with. It's what you put on the t-shirt that's going to
Mm.
be the problem. Steve, yes, they do have names. They have their own tribal names, and then certain ones will give us a name that they want us to call them. Some are
Mhm.
very good about giving us their tribal names. Others would prefer that those are not shared with our people, so they'll give us a regular um, name to call them.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
You're
was
right.
just seeing the question on there, so I was like, as far as Patty goes, they're like I said, somebody just made a comment about, saving her baby. I don't blame her for that at all. At all. They are looking at it. They work as a collective. They work under the law of Ra, which is the law of one. So they work as an entire collective. So what happens is when that happened, others died because of that act. And as a mom, I can totally understand why she did what she did. Total respect for it. For them as a people, because of what it did to the collective, that's where the problem's at.
Now,
How long do they live? There's been various reports. I know people that will say when they're in flesh and blood mode, they're going to live, maybe 70, 80 years. But then I have others that are in flesh and blood mode that will tell me that they're 227 years old. So it really depends. And you have to remember they're multidimensional. They do go from flesh and blood into spirit form. They are continually evolving. We have some that will still come back and forth in flesh mode and are saying they're 400 and 500 years old.
Wow. I've never designed my own T-shirts yet, Vanessa. So somebody, I don't have them copyrighted and watermarked, and I don't have any trademarks. I didn't pay for any trademarks. So if someone has an NCCP shirt, more power to them. But once I get mine put out, eventually I'm gonna, trademark them so no one can take my trademark and make money off of my name. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, when it comes to selling the t-shirts, you are not going to make enough selling t-shirts to, per se, buy a home, change your quality of life. You
No.
know, you may make enough to, possibly run your podcast or buy more surplus so that you can sell more t-shirts. They're fine with that. That isn't something, that's not a problem. If it's something that's going to hinder their life, draw people to chase them down and hunt them, that's a little bit different. Are you going to be changing the quality of your life, buying new homes and new cars off of them? That they do not appreciate or like.
That's not my plans. I would never try to do that. I'm
I
not.
know.
I do this to get rich. I mean, if anything, whatever profits will be made, it would be like to buy up my subscription for StreamYard so I can get better streaming services or
Yeah.
yeah, it's something of that matter. Because honestly, you and I both know. I mean, unless you're like in a dark, you're a dark soul, you're not going to make money doing this. I mean, I don't even put my PayPal and ask for donations because I don't want no one's money. I support my channel. I support all this my own dollar. I work a
Mhm.
full time job, and I front it all on my own dime. So, and I don't need no. Not that I don't ask, but if somebody did want to donate, I'd be more grateful. But I just don't ask
Right.
for it. I don't need it.
Now, do you recall seeing a chocolate, because he's driving me nuts right now, a chocolate brown Bigfoot, very long hair? This one actually does have a little more of the coney head. His name is Chion, and he wants me to tell you that he watches you. Write the name down because they don't always let me remember them.
Oh
It's
wow.
Chion, Chion.
She.
Yeah, Chion, Chion.
That's kind of similar to my daughter. My daughter's name is Cheyenne, so that's kind of close resemblance to her name.
Yeah,
To
he's got very long hair, and it's a dark chocolate color, a little bit lighter than like a Hershey candy bar, more like the color of a Snickers bar.
hmm
And this one does have a coney head. And, everybody believes that they have these coney heads. And I'm sorry, but they just not all of them do. Their looks are extremely individualized. Bat Mom, hi, sweet girl. Yeah,
Batman.
love that woman. She's the best. And so they are all just as individual as we are. It doesn't mean that if they're all from the mountains, they have a conical shaped head, or the flatlands are different. It doesn't work like that. They are individualized. They move around. So the ones that might be in one part that have more of the conical head might go to another part, and then they interbreed. They're everywhere now.
Do you know if they come around here often? Because I haven't seen them. My wife has seen them twice. She's seen them once um, with a little monocular, the little monocular, and then she's
Mhm.
seen my new night vision. She's seen one with that, and then she's seen one at a park about 10 miles from my house, less than 10 miles from my house. She's seen one at a park because we're walking around the trail, and she's seen one because we're just following some bends and breaks that I kind of picked up on, and we kind of went off the beaten trail and into like a
Mhm.
thicket part. And she had a feeling like I guess she senses these. She has some sensing, psychic, where she's empathy. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they're there all the time, but they do wander through there. I think you've got them, I would say out of 7 nights a week, maybe one, maybe 2 nights. They're also showing me a black one that has a tan, not tan, but not chocolate colored, somewhere between that two, baby, that it's carrying around on its hip. As far as gifting, Steve, you can gift. You need to just do it wisely. If you're going to go, like, Duke has his campouts and he goes up in the mountains, and he'll ask me to ask him what they want. And he's tremendous about taking what they want. So it's occasionally, it's not on a reoccurring basis. So you don't have a problem with that. When you do the gifting every single night of food, depending on the clan, you run the risk of them being very agitated when you stop. You are never going to feed them enough to sustain all their lives. Okay.
No,
If you
not
want to gift, you can do feathers, white rocks, beads, toys. Make sure it's nothing that is going to get caught in the throat of a child.
appreciate it.
When Years ago, I did this by myself until I was almost 40. I didn't have anybody around me to offer insight or guide me in any way. And I didn't know any better. I put food out every night. I was fortunate. The group that I worked with, the clan, we had almost 60 individuals that came out through there, and they didn't get aggressive. I had one night, I took the kids to church, and I was planning on coming right back and putting their food out for them. And I used to put it at the very back of the woods. And then I thought, why they come up to the house and knock on the walls for me to come out every night. And then I'd go out at 2 in the morning and sit with them. So that, why am I walking all this food back? I'll just put it up by the house. So I did. And I took the kids to church. I got back late. And when I got back late, I had buckets that I had on snaps up out in the trees. They had unsnapped the buckets and put them on the front porch and put the buckets upside down. Like, okay, you idiot woman, where's my food?
Like a
So
dog
I
when it
said,
carries their bowl with their mouth and drops it at your toes. It's like that they're
yeah,
doing, you know. And I brought a
well,
basket of food out recently, so
yeah,
so maybe
these, the snaps I had actually went like, see if I can get it on here, where they crossed like this. It wasn't a standard snap. You'd open it up and it looked like two fingers, and then it would go like this. The only way they could have unsnapped those is if you have thumbs.
oh
You
wow.
had to have a hand, you had to have a thumb, and they had unsnapped them off the trees. So when I went out and they heard I was coming, they were hooting and hollering, but they were never aggressive. But I can tell you numbers of people that do have that problem. If it's on a regular night to night basis, occasionally that's not an issue.
Occasionally, that's kind of what I do. Like maybe once every month or every other month, and it would
Sure,
be
that's not
some
an
fruit.
issue.
It would be like some fruit that's if you don't put it out, it's gonna go bad anyway. So you put it out to the woods and give it to the forest friends, and it's gone. And the next day
Yeah.
it's all gone, no matter what it is. You got to
Yeah.
make
And
sure.
see, mine, it was daily. And what was so crazy about it was, if I made Thanksgiving dinner, I made a turkey for them and a turkey for us. It got crazy. Okay, see, Odessa says, have you cryptid, paranormal, and alien? Yes. I have been outside when both the Dogman and the Bigfoot are together. Love you too, Batman or Batmom. Also, I've been out there when there have been ships above them. I've been out there and watched them playing with orbs like they are a baseball. Uh, it all tends to go together, really.
Yeah. So what's your? I know we're kind of into the Patty thing now. Do you kind of like follow that whole story, that Bobby Short story that was going around with Bob Gimlin and the Bobby Short? Like a bunch of them were killed by some kind of hunting team from Canada and blah blah blah. I mean,
I'm going to be really honest with you. Number one, and the only time I've met Bob Gimlin was over the phone. I found him to be a wonderful, wonderful person. So definitely no criticism of Bob Gimlin at all. Do I think others died that day? According to the Bigfoots, 100% yes. I wasn't there. I can't say that I witnessed it. But as far as they are concerned, yes, that did happen.
wow. That's sad. I mean, some things are kind of, beyond control. Like I said, I don't think they were kind of into that
Thank
whole
you,
thing. I
Kathleen.
honestly think that there was possibly like a hunting team that was out there, and they were just there at the same time that Bob and maybe you know Roger Patterson were out there, and they kind of ran into each other. But as that was going on, that slaughter was happening as well.
Yeah, agreed. Steve, you're very welcome anytime. You can find me on Facebook under Robin Haynes Mccray. If you have any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer them for you. If I don't know the answer, I'll simply tell you I don't know.
Yeah, Robin, you're pretty good at helping people out. I mean, like you said,
Thanks.
you don't give people money to help them out, and you've even helped me because you told me about last year. I think I had the Squatch on my property named Sequus,
Yes,
Sequus, and
he's still there.
I want to know who gave me the deer because I shot at a deer and I missed it, and then like 2 days later, that same deer I missed was laying under my gifting tree with its neck snapped backwards, and I couldn't do nothing with the meat because it was spoiled or it was rotten. So after that, I dragged the deer 40 yards in another direction to like a little dried up creek bed valley,
Mhm.
and back the next day, and it was completely gone. No drag marks, no fur tuffets, no like coyote, flum flesh or bones around. And it was like something threw it over its back and said, "Okay, you don't want it, human. We'll take it back."
Yeah, it was actually the one that I was talking to just a little while ago for you. And he said at some point in time you were gifted a rabbit. Did you ever find the rabbit they left you?
Um, I think my son found a dead rabbit in
Okay.
recently,
Yeah.
long ago. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. A rabbit, huh?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said, "Yeah, that was I." And he said that he also brought a rabbit, a gift of a rabbit.
And I mean, they can't be far from. I mean, I know you said like they live on the hills because you go down on
Yeah.
my property, it kind of goes down a hill, and there's the dried up creek bed, and it goes up a hill. And honestly, recently I've seen a lot of trees like knocked over in trails, and then let's see, I think that was last month. 3 trails were blocked over with trees. I mean, these weren't little trees, and these weren't deadfall. These were perfectly healthy trees, just pushed over, blocking like big trails where people ride their 4 wheelers. And I'm the only one that rides back there, pretty much. So that being said, um, one of my neighbors that goes back there once in a blue moon, he trimmed the trees and opened the trails up. Well, now there's a trail directly behind my house that goes
Yep.
down, and there's a big tree blocking that one over. I mean, this is a huge stump. Not the stump root is pushed over, and there's like a looks like a field mine, landmine hit it.
Yeah, I would check your windows because he's telling me that he's looked in the window and saw you resting.
Wow.
So, kind of look and see if you get any face prints in there.
Yeah, that'd probably be easier to find out because I recently power washed my house and my windows because
Hmm.
before I got hurt, because I got hurt at work and I was, messed up my leg. I was home all week from work last week, so maybe I could find something from that. Like, I know you like they push on your
Yeah.
house, some look on the side of your house for handprints or like because their hands have that oily substance on them. They're not like a human hand; they have that like
Yeah, and
oily.
it's so hard to get off. Um, Odessa, yes, they do follow me everywhere I go.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter if I move. When I moved from Michigan to South Carolina, I had probably over half the clan there move, and now I have almost 4 clans at my house now. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to jump around you guys. I'm just looking at questions at the same time. So I hope that's okay. I don't want anybody to feel like I'm ignoring anybody. So I am not trying to jump around. I'm just trying to respond. Yeah, they do. And like one night I was laying in bed, Pat and I were asleep, and I happened to wake up. And when I woke up, I looked over and there was no light coming through one of the windows. And the top of that window was 10 foot off the ground.
Wow.
And I looked over and I'm like, why is there light in one window, not any light in the other window? And it was one that I'm excessively close to. And he's taller than that. And so he just kind of crunched down so I could see his face looking in the window with this big old grin on his face. So I woke up Pat and I'm like, listen, I've already entertained him. You get to keep him occupied now. So I went back to bed and Pat kind of waking up and he sat up and kind of looked at him and he looked at Pat and walked off.
I got a question from Laura, and Laura, I feel like he's connected soul friend to his tribe.
Meaning as in Tom?
Are you talking about me, Laura?
Yeah, I feel like he does have a connection to them. I don't necessarily feel like it's from the earth. I feel like it's a connection that they made with him while he was out doing research. And he just happened to go into that area and they felt his heart. And he's got such a pure and good heart that that's what they were drawn to. And now he is known without that throughout that clan. Yeah, I actually do believe that.
That's wild. I wouldn't even thought that. I just because I try to be like if I see garbage in the woods, I'll pick it up, or if I like see like I'll take like a
Mhm.
plastic bag, like a Walmart bag or a little CVS bag. If I walk around in the woods, if I see like a can or something, because I know sometimes my kids can be slobs, and I'll like pick up their mess or whatever I see. And sometimes it's weird because my kids found a weed whacker underneath my tree stand a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, how the hell did a weed whacker get in the woods? So
It was
now
a
I
gift.
it must have been a gift because I mean they probably saw me when I weed whacked my yard. They probably figured it was something I'd like, but unfortunately, it was
Hmm.
one of the ones that's probably sat around too long. It's probably seized up, and you can't pull start it because the pull start is locked up and that kind of
Yeah,
thing. I do
it's the
appreciate,
thought.
yeah, do appreciate the thought. Okay, we got a question from Marquita.
Oh, I do believe you, sweetie. I agree with you. When I lived in Michigan, I lived in the Manistee National Forest, which covers just literally hundreds of thousands of miles. But I was in the western side of the state. I was, like I wasn't across the bridge by any means. And I will go to a similar area. I won't go right back where I was before,
Wow,
but it'll be, south of the bridge, but it won't be like in the middle of the state or down low. I have been in up across the bridge. They tend to be a little less civilized up there, maybe a little bit wilder. You have pockets of some up there that are quite nice, but they can be pretty rough up there at times. Not the whole group up there, but some of them.
dang, that's wild. Fingers and energy. Well, you were saying, it's weird. I noticed. I don't know if this is kind of like the negative energy that's going around the world, and I'm sure you've felt it too. But I every night, like my fingers are like numb. Like I have like
Mhm.
I don't know if it's because I'm getting old and carpal tunnel's kicking in or what from all the work I've done over the years, or just some kind of energy going through your body at night when you're sleeping because that's when they can get you. They can drop those EMF bombs on you when you're sleeping. You know.
They do, but also, there's been this big battle going on, and the Bigfoots are part of it, and so are the other things that come in and out of the dimensions, the ETs, everything from the rifts in the plane, and they're doing their thing. They need to be up to do it, but when they need us, they will pull us out in the night. Our physical bodies will stay where we're resting at, and they will pull us out to help. And sometimes that can come into play. That's why sometimes you wake up and you're more tired than you were when you went to bed.
Wow.
You wake up with mysterious scratches or bruises or whatever. I mean, I've literally had my arm broken in dream state. Um, and what happens in dream state is every bit as real as what happens when you're awake, and you can be equally as hurt or killed in dream state as when you're awake.
Oh wow. So things can really happen to you, and when you kind of come to your senses, like, when you get back into your body, and you kind
Mhm.
of feel those pains, and whatever ailments you've endured, you can kind of feel them still.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yes, they absolutely can see your aura. 100%. Yeah, yes.
Okay, we got
We
one
all,
from
everything is Yes, they do believe in the Lord. They're very spiritual, to the point of almost a religious aspect. I've watched them go and pray. They answer to Creator, which is actually the same God that we do. But yeah, and as far as and I'm sorry, I'm not trying, again, not trying to jump around. I'm just trying to answer everyone's questions. Back to the aura, everything is energy based. I don't care if it's a coffee cup. Everything is energy based. We live on the biggest energizer battery that there is, being the
Right.
earth. So, and everybody radiates different energy. Like I do energy work, so I can read energies, I can do all those things. And of course, they can as well. They're the ones that taught me how. And so, everybody has a different energy and everybody has a different aura. And they are masters at reading it. That's why, like with Tom, they know he's a good person. They know he has a good heart. He's what they call pure of heart. He means no ill intent to them. And they know that. And that's what they're drawn to about him. And that's why they like him so well.
Wow. Well, that's good to know they're on my side because
Yeah.
when I first encountered them, I thought I was going to get killed because all I heard, you heard the story. I'm in the dark in the woods behind my house, and I hear whoa, whoa, and it's 20 feet or 20 yards to my left and 30 yards to my 12 o'clock, and they're going back and forth, and I'm shaking out of my body, and I'm about to have a heart attack and the seizure and everything else, and it's pitch black. I dropped all my light sources on the ground off my tree stand because I was shaking so bad. So I had nothing to do. I didn't have any kind of, and I knew like a 380 wasn't anything, and I knew my crossbow. So I was just like, listen, I stood up. I was like, listen, I just want to get a deer. Leave me alone. Let me be. I'll leave you alone. I mean no harm. I just want to, get a deer that I'm could eat, and I'll be out of here. I'll be out of your way. And ever since that encounter, everything's always been peaceful. Like nothing negative. I've never felt any negative presence in the woods, and usually
But
when I hear them rattling around back there, usually the hair behind my neck stands up and I can feel it. Like I know it's them. I know it's not an owl. I know it's not a crow. I know it's not whatever kind of
yeah,
sounds I hear. I know it's because I can just feel that energy radiate through my body. It's crazy.
but you handled it correctly. The thing is, they are a type of people. Our words and our ways mean different for them, but they know your energy. So, like when you're telling them, I'm not here to hurt you, I'm here just to feed my family, I just want to get a deer, even if our words get confused in the translation for them, they understand your heart.
Mhm,
It's all part of mind speak. And they get that. And because you were forthcoming, you were honest.
mhm,
I would go out every night and sit with them in the woods at 2 a.m. I never took a flashlight. I never took anything. It was just me in my pajamas and my slippers. I'm sure it was real attractive for them.
mhm.
And I would go out there and they would just walk around me and they'd chatter or whatever. But when you go out there, when you're hunting, be honest, be forthcoming with them. They don't want surprises. I'm coming out now. I'm bringing a weapon, but it's strictly to hunt for deer to feed put it in terms they're going to understand, to feed my family, and just do exactly like what you did. And that's why you now have this great, very calm, copacetic relationship with them when you're out there because it matters. And when I was in Michigan, like we haven't hunted where I'm at now, but when I was in Michigan, I'm not a hunter, but my children were. And we had a 2.5 acre parcel in the front, and then the house, another acre or so. And then we had the rest of it was all woods back. We had 10 acres altogether, 10 and a half. And I would tell them, my children are going to go and hunt. You take your families to the front woods. My children will only hunt in the backwoods. It worked out beautifully. I mean, let them know what to expect. They
Yeah.
understand our language. They do have their own language, but they can understand ours. But it's important that we know going into it that our ways are not theirs.
Mhm,
We miscommunicate our ways. They think we understand what they're doing. We clearly don't. People panic because they scream at them. Well, they're screaming at you because if somebody walked in your front door unannounced
mhm.
in your living room with you and your family, you're going to scream at them and say, "Get out of my house." We can't expect less from them. And that's basically what it boils down to. It's miscommunication, not always, but in a great many situations.
Oh yeah, well, it's just like I said. If someone comes in and barreling through your house, in the middle of the night, like you're gonna be up in arms and ready to tear some shit up.
Yep,
Very protect your
definitely.
family by any means necessary. So that's why people get chased out of the woods. They get um, you know bluff charged,
Yeah.
sticks
They
thrown
contacted,
at them, acorns, whatever, just to get them out of there because they're doing it in a aggressive manner, but they're also doing it in a manner where they're not trying to harm you. They just want you gone.
yeah. We had across from where I live at is a 200-acre pine tree farm. And some people went over there very late at night, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and they're out there. And apparently they were hunting for raccoons, is what their claim was. However, the Bigfoots got hold of me in a massive panic because a female and her child had been spotted and they actually shot at her. Fortunately, they didn't hit her, but now she's terrified. She's got and you could hear the baby scream. The baby just screamed bloody murder. So they contacted me and they're like, we need help, we need help, we need help. And I'm thinking, I looked over there and there was probably 12 individuals and they were laying down in the tall grass with guns. And I
Wow.
physically saw these people and I'm thinking, what am I supposed to do? 12 individuals with guns. So the first thing I did was call 911 because I knew that would get them out of there.
Yeah.
And I drove over there in the car because I felt a little bit, and it was only across the road. I jumped in my car and went across the road. And I'm hollering at these people, which of course scared absolutely everything. So when they turned focus on me, the female and the child were able to get away.
Right. Well, I'm sure they're like, "Who the hell is this crazy lady yelling at us?
Oh,
How does she?
absolutely.
How does she
I've
know
done
where
that to,
we live?"
yeah, I've done that to that individual in that little group. I don't know how many times.
Let's see. Is it the thing where Steve was posting about? Do they know about the Lord God? It's weird. A lot of people have these. Sometimes they have a bad encounter and they'll just start praying to God. And these things, it's like holy water and the crucifix for a vampire it just diverts them away. So they have to know about God if that works because a lot of people say
Yes.
when they start praying, these things just take off out of Dodge.
Yeah. When you do energy work and when you um, call on God for help or whatever, they absolutely, the bad stuff, it just repels it. Okay. Energy work with something bad is like if you were to go up and grab a hot wire fence while you're soaking wet, you are going to get zapped beyond belief if you even survive it. So when you do energy work, when you're calling on God or Jesus to help you, it has that same effect on the negative entities. But yet, if it's a good entity or a good being or a good, type of a people, it does nothing. It doesn't cause them any harm. So in a lot of situations where you feel in physical danger, that does help. I try to teach as many people as I can how to do the energy work because you're going to take the energy and light out of yourself. For the people that are Christians and believe in God, it's the white light of Christ. For the people that are an atheist per se, it's the light that incorporates your soul. Either way, it does the same thing. And that light and that, hi Lori, and that energy can protect you. And calling on
Lori's,
the Lord always works.
Lori's got a question.
Sure. Sweetheart, what they're doing with that, and I love Lori to death. I absolutely love her. Randy stays very close to her. I've spoke to Randy and given her messages from him. And I didn't know Randy prior to his passing, and I am sorry to say that because from what I had heard about him, he was amazing. But they are around. But what happens when somebody in the clan, there's a passing of a mate or of someone of importance? They normally do what they call 4 days of silence as far as to recognize the passing of that individual. But what I've noticed in my lifetime is they back off and they do give you quite a bit of space to mourn and to grieve.
Yeah.
And they did that. I had a son, unfortunately, that passed away many, many years ago. And they did that with me as well. So I would think that that has more to do with that than anything else.
I'm sorry for your loss again, Lori. Like, Randy was a great man, and
Yeah.
I honestly think if you start talking out, if you have them on your property, go out there and start talking to them, tell them you like them to come back. You might start noticing some interaction again.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Okay.
When she's ready is when they'll come. But, just putting this out there, not that it's my place, but in talking with Randy, there's nothing in this world that he loved as much as Lori.
Yeah, he loves these, and I get it, because I lost my mom in January, and it was probably, I still deal with it. I still have some hard times, and it was probably one of the darkest few
Yeah.
months.
And I'm
because I
so
mean,
sorry. I saw that on Facebook. I'm so sorry, Tom. It's always harder for the people that are still left here.
yeah. Well, the thing that got me was she wasn't sick, so I think she was. It was repercussions of the thing, the double
People
tap thing
don't, yeah,
that were made.
people don't realize that that does damage that does not show back as COVID. It comes back where it attacks not only your immune system, but it attacks other organs in your body so that when something happens, they don't relate it to that.
It shuts down all your organs and all the other, functions.
It does.
Question from Vanessa. That's something I could come
Yeah,
up.
honey, look me up on Facebook under Robin Haynes, Haynes Mccray, and we will definitely have that conversation. Absolutely.
Yeah, Robin will definitely help you out. She's a great person. She's always
Oh,
helpful.
thanks.
And I mean, you don't charge people for the help. I mean, I'm sure
Never.
if someone has
No.
you go across the state, like you probably would appreciate them reimbursing your gas fees and all that. That's probably
Yeah.
like cost. I mean, I don't expect someone to drive out to my house 2 hours away to do for free because I'd be like, here's a gas card, or let me Venmo you some money for gas to get out here. You know,
Yeah. And a lot of it I can do remotely, so it's not that big of an issue. I have to be honest and say, I get these people that tell me, thank you so much and you've helped me, and that means more to me than they will ever know. I consider it an honor and a blessing that
like that.
and I say this all the time and everybody laughs at me. I can't even understand why anybody wants to hear what I have to say anyway. So that always is a shock to me. But at the same time, anytime somebody comes to you, whether it's they need help for something or they just want to talk about something, personally, I feel like it's an honor that they even want to take that time to talk to me. So I just feel very grateful.
Yeah, that's also I'm sure it's a blessing and a curse at the same time because it's a blessing because you get to do what many people wish they can do, and it's a curse because they're always talking to you or they're always trying to communicate with you to tell you stuff. So it's like you don't have any free time or you haven't like any downtime to like read a book because it's always like it's coming in your ear or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's
You
it's
know?
it's a 7 day a week, 24-hour day thing. I will say this, I would never change it for the world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Lisa, I have balled them out before. I've talked about that. Lisa's awesome. We had adolescents that kept climbing up on the roof and climbing up on the roof. And, I would get hold of the other members of the clan and say, get them down. They're not listening. Typical teenagers. They wouldn't listen. I finally got mad one night and I said, I'm going to tell you right now. They have taught me how to zap. If you do not get your hairy butts off my roof, I am coming out there and I will zap you until hell won't have it. And everybody laughed at me in the house and it kept up and kept up. And so I was the crazy person out in the front yard going, I'm not kidding you. Get your hairy butts off.
That's funny. Yeah, it seems like it's an adolescent because my friend Al Santoriga had an encounter in upstate New York where he had some adolescents because he brought some new people, researchers, some
Yes.
I think there were female paranormal researchers that never had a Bigfoot encounter up to the mountains, and they were getting harassed by the adolescents, like the juvenile gangbangers, whatever they
Mhm.
call them. And Al ran after them with a machete to like just to get them to stop, and they did, but they were probably like, "Who's this crazy old man with a knife in his hand?" You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You have to know how far you can push it because, the older ones will defend the younger ones. But yeah, they can be pills at time. Odessa, I speak to them verbally as well as mind speak. And I have since I was learning how to talk.
Wow. So this is something that this is a lifetime of the powers you have to do this. This is something you've had your life. It's not like your ability wasn't like something you just picked up overnight. It was like something that you were kind of born with or that all you could
Yeah,
know your life.
I never knew that not everybody did these things. No, they don't ever run away from me in fear. Trust me. They've laughed at me thinking, look at this stupid human that thinks she has anything that she can do to hurt us. But no, they've never run away from me in fear. The only ones that have ever moved away from me in fear, and they didn't really move away from me. I mean, I've gone up against bad ones before, but they've never ran from me by any means. I was in Texas and there were some children that some were after, and I put myself between these kids and this leader of the clan that wanted them for lunch. And most of them are not like that, but there are occasionally you'll get some that will be that way. And I refuse to move, and so he bluff charged me. But no, they don't run away in fear of me. They laugh at me when I get like that. I take that big stand. The kids every now and then, will get kind of funny. Yes, they do bury their dead. Some groups will even do a funeral, what they consider to be a funeral, and they do bury them. They bury them in a certain way. They observe the 4 days of silence. They have where they bury them. It makes it very difficult to even find because of how they do it. There are markers that they do, most of which look like a natural occurrence. Not all. Every clan is different on how they mark it, but yeah, they do bury them.
Yeah, tree knock. I've had occasions where I went into certain areas, like even a new area. This went back a couple of years ago. This was like out by UNC Charlotte area,
Mm-hmm.
university, and there's like a huge windy road that kind of connects half of North Charlotte to Central, and there's I would say like a industrial drive with a huge forest connected to it, and I
Yeah.
just went there. I saw a huge X formation that looked like a fork, like two forks upside down, but these were trees the way they were bent. So it caught my eye, so I pulled my work van over and I went out into the woods. And the first thing, as I got into the woods, I hear two tree knocks. I'm like, "Ooh, this is definitely them."
Yep.
Bama. Hey, Bama. Yes.
Oh, great, Vanessa. I'd love it.
Yeah, definitely get a hold of Robin Vanessa. She will give you some good advice and talk you through
Yeah.
any.
And if you can't find me, just get a hold of Tom. He knows how.
Yeah. Yeah, Odessa, Al, you're in the Hudson Valley. You're like you could probably throw a rock and hit Odessa. So you guys need to get up and do some investigating together.
Yeah. Hudson Valley's got a lot going on. Be careful. It's not
Yeah,
all bad, but it's Hudson
Al,
Valley. It's been years since I've done any work on with anybody on the Hudson Valley, not because of any reason other than that person's situation got corrected, and so there was no reason to. But yeah, you've got a little bit of everything out there. A lot of ETs, a lot of ETs.
well, Al had
Thank you, Steve.
Al and his partner Brian Bowden were doing a special on they actually had a film crew and they used their little frequency. I think it was a chakra bowl or whatever they did. It was a sound from a chakra bowl manipulating frequency, and they actually drew in a UFO, and you could see it on the footage
Mhm.
coming in the sky, flashing across the
Yeah,
night.
those Tibetan singing bowls, they absolutely love them. Love them. Oh my goodness. I mean, I've bought so many of them, it's ridiculous. I buy them for people all the time, and then I have mine, and they love them. They absolutely love it.
So you recommend, because I have one that I've never took it outside my house. Do you recommend I take it outside in the woods and play it and see what happens?
Yeah, but I mean, just be prepared for the fact that anything could get drawn in. And I'm not saying anything bad. In my experience, and this doesn't mean, and this is going to be like this all the time. So far, when I've used it, I've not had anything bad come in, but I do get them that come around. I've had them literally step out of the woods and stand there staring at me while it's going on.
Wow. Wow. Does anyone else have any more questions? We're like an hour and 10 minutes, and I usually do like an hour show, and it's such an honor to have you on, Robin. I really need to. Okay, so Mark Holt sent you a friend request, so he'll get back. He'll get with
Oh,
you too.
wonderful. I'll be sure to accept it as soon as I get off air. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's see. Can you see Mandy? That's my friend Laura's question.
Have her contact me.
Yeah, contact her personally, Laura.
And
I'll
then, yeah,
yeah,
because right now I'm kind of focused on this, and I probably should be more focused on what I'm
yeah.
looking for. But I'm not seeing anybody pop up. The only thing I am seeing pop up when she said that question, and I don't know that there's even a tie to it, is a very vibrant red bodied, like a chestnut color hair Bigfoot, excessively long hair, kind of looks like cousin It. I've only seen a few of them with hair that long.
Oh, wow,
One was
cousin.
in Michigan. She brought her baby to me. So I don't know who this Mandy is. I can try to find her for her, but that's when she said that question, that's what showed up immediately, just standing in a tree line.
Wow. Yeah, a question from Odessa. I don't know if you can see people, or I think
No,
people
I
actually.
actually I can. I do a lot of work doing that. In fact, I've helped with locating people that were missing before. But like again, I it's easier. Not that I can't do it right now, but it's just because we're all talking at the same time, and I'm getting a lot of things trying to talk all at one time because I'm feeling things from everybody. So
Yeah.
just to make sure I'm a little bit more accurate, just get hold of me.
You got a question like that, contact her personally because honestly, it's weird with my mom. When she passed, in January, and the room that I'm in right now is where she always slept in this room when she stayed here to visit because she was from New Jersey. That's where I'm from, but when she came to visit me in the Carolinas, she stayed in this room that I'm in, and a lot of things happened in this room not too
That's
long
because
after.
she's in that room.
Like things would get flung around, and yeah, it was
Okay,
wild.
the arm that you just moved, like for me to look at you on the screen, it's
My
on
right,
my left, so it would be your right. Okay, if you
yeah.
go back over your shoulder, over
Hmm.
back by where that photo of the UFO is she's standing right in there.
Wow.
And she's talking about a bag, some type of bag. You have some kind of bag that is her possessions in it. She said you need to take something from the bag to remember and keep it close to you. It almost
Really?
looks like me. I don't know if it's clothing or what. She's not showing me what's inside. It's more like a white bag, not a plastic bag either. It looks more fabric or cloth,
I'll have
even a
to look for it.
pillowcase or something. I don't, it's
Maybe
just,
I'll have to look because she was like infamous for sending, like she would send me a box, like a huge shipping, like a cardboard, and it would just have like just a bunch of things in it, like little
yeah,
memorabilia things and just little trinkets. So I have
this
some
looks
stuff in
like,
the last box.
yeah, like a white or cream colored rectangular. It looks, I swear, it almost looks like it's made out of cloth. I don't know what's in it, but she says take something out of that. You'll know what it is and keep it close to you. But
Wow.
she's still in the house. She never left.
Wow. And
She
it's
said
weird.
it isn't time for her to leave you yet.
We have a jewelry. We have one of her jewelry that we got when after she passed. It was given to me, and it has some of her rings. It's like a little brass bowl, and
Okay.
it's
Is
on.
there a cloth bag that she would have possibly put jewelry in?
I don't know. I just know that like there was rings in this little bowl, and when my wife gets ready every morning, the top of the bowl flings off of her vanity by
Hmm.
itself.
Yeah, it's because your mom. She never left the house.
Wow,
She said she's
that
not ready to leave you yet.
that makes
That
sense.
for
But
her, it was too soon to have gone. It was not something that was in her mindset. It was not something that she thought was going to happen. It just did. And
wow,
she was not ready to leave you yet.
because my daughter can smell her. Like she has this thing smell that my daughter every now
Hmm.
and then. I smell her still.
Yeah. I woke up
Wow.
this morning to a smell of a woman's perfume, and I have no idea who this woman is. She said her name was Edith, and nobody knows who it is. So, Steve, as far as some of the people with the missing 411, I have done a little bit of work on that. Not, I didn't work with Dave or anybody like that. Just, I got connected on my own. There is a few cases that were Bigfoot. Not all were Bigfoot. There are much more things out there that are of a bigger concern to take people than the Bigfoot. You have vortexes, you have portals, you have ETs, you have unknown cryptids that are not even been given names yet.
Hmm.
The Bigfoot call an unnamed cryptid that has no name a Mccray, which is a blanket term for any cryptid walking around. It means thee that walks the earth that has no name. So it's kind of like a blanket for all these really crazy cryptids that nobody knows what to call them. And so you have all of these things. Are there people from missing 411 that I personally believe took somebody? I actually believe that there are, but I don't believe that it is in the majority of the cases. No, I think there's only a very small percentage of it that is done by Bigfoot.
I got
Just
a
my own belief and by what they have told me.
I got a question for you now. Do you think that it's bad? Because I've done this myself, and I don't plan on exploiting their video or whatever. But do you think it's bad to go out in like the woods and try to take pictures of them and just so you could have a picture to see it? Do you think that's like a bad thing by exploiting them? Because do you think they don't like that, or like what's the take on
Well,
that?
the problem they have with the photos is they go by Native American tradition, which means that
Taking their
the
spirit?
camera lens steals their soul.
Mhm.
Now, do I personally feel it's wrong to take their photo? I really don't. I think it's your intent. when you do. I will be honest with you. If you take a picture of them while they are cloaked, you get a much clearer photo and it doesn't seem to upset them.
Wow.
When you are chasing them around with a camera, they can get agitated. But like if you're taking pictures of structures, or by all means, go out, stand in a circle, take your camera and just do the click, click, click in a circle all the way around you. And then put it on your computer or whatever. Or if you take it with your phone and you put it up on the screen and blow it up, if they were there and they were cloaked, they show up. They immediately show up because they're not trying to hide it. They're not trying to, mess with your camera. Also, like, let's say you were to see one and you want to get a picture of it while it's in physical form, you simply off center it. Don't make that the center of your camera lens, because what happens is it's easy for them to mess with the frequency and the vibration and the energy and blur it. They have a natural energy that is much more powerful than ours. That's why it blurs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The camera lens has a hard time with that. And then on top of the abilities that they have, they can mess with it as well. So, like, if you were going to take a picture of it, let's say, Tom, I was going to take your picture. Instead of focusing on you, I would focus my camera lens on those lights in the corner where the blue lights are at and the white light. I would
Yeah.
focus on that so that you're in the capture, but you're not the center focus of it. It makes it harder. Oh, you're so welcome, Odessa. It's makes it much harder to be distorted. But again, 9 out of 10 photos that we get, not that we haven't got them in physical form, we just walk out in our backyard and just start taking pictures, or stand on the porch and take pictures, and they pop up in it.
That's kind of what I was trying to do. I was trying to just like take random pictures, and when you like kind of putting that intent out that you're not trying to take
Mhm.
pictures of them, but you're just taking pictures of the forest and like structures. I think that kind of shows that you're not trying to hunt them down for a picture, just so you
Exactly.
get
And I
shots.
have, right. And I have photos that I show people. I'm more than happy to, that were taken in a manner that I wasn't hunting. If you're out there hunting through the woods to find him, that's a different intent. If you're out there in the woods and you're taking photos, oh, you're so welcome, Lori. Love you, sweetie. And he adores you. He's still with you. If I'm out there walking through the woods and I'm taking photos of stick structures or footprints per se, that isn't angering them. And what happens is if I get them in the camera, there's no repercussions on me, but it's what you do with the photos. If you're simply sharing them to educate people about them, they are less likely to be upset. If you're putting them out there and going, this is the money shot, I want 10 grand to put it on your magazine, could be a bit of a problem.
Well, usually that if you try that, I'm sure by the time you send it to the person, it's going to be blurry as crap anyway, so it won't even be worth the
Well,
dime.
I'm going to tell you a very quick story because I know you're getting pressed for time. And I have shared this in other places. I went to do a conference, and the gentleman that was in the conference had an area set up that he should not have had to capture them. And he got footage of them, and he had a documentary team coming out that was going to view this footing. And at that time, he had found out that I could talk to the ones up there, and I had seen the cage he was trying to trap them in. And love you too, sweetheart. And so I had said something to him about this cage, and he had got it into his head that he was going to have me come back up there the following week and capture me, put me in the cage, and the Bigfoot would come in. But also, I had done a conference that first time I met him, and I got a very warm welcome from everybody. They asked me if I would come back the next weekend to do an impromptu conference so I could finish answering the questions that couldn't be answered the first day. I said I would. They were going to show this footage that he got of them. And so I sent dogmen up to destroy the cameras, all of which got done. And they were tremendous. Like, they were amazing. And then I have one foot that literally he could screw up anything technology wise. He's gifted. And so I said to him, I said, whatever happens, that video cannot play. So we got in there and they went to go play this footage, and all the equipment failed. And the guy said, oh, I only live 3 miles from here. I'll go get my equipment and I'll bring it. We'll play it. And I thought, oh crap, I didn't think about, him bringing equipment. I had him trash the equipment in the hall. They got it up there and they went to play it every time it came to the part. And I had people that had confirmed they'd already seen the footage. Every time they got to the part where a Bigfoot was at, what popped up was actually a picture from a calendar of a kitten. And because I had said, you guys, you can't let this could be the destruction of your people. Like, you can't allow this. Every
Yeah.
single frame that had a Bigfoot in it was a calendar picture of a kitten.
Oh God.
I
That.
mean, the stuff they can do is amazing. The guy was freaked out. The team from whatever,
Yeah.
you know, place this was that was going to shoot this and do this documentary, he got sued for loss of all the cameras, and they dropped him like a hot potato. So never underestimate what they can do.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy that they can take the footage and make it, make it wind up turn up like a cat, pictures of kittens, because that's amazing that it can, the energy they
Yeah.
have, they possess,
A
can
friend,
make that work like that.
yeah, a friend of mine and I actually accidentally got a picture of a fae. We weren't trying to. We were just simply taking scenery pictures, and it was in there. And they kept trying to get that picture off the camera. And so we were sending it back from the camera to my cell phone to her cell phone to computers to tablets to everything, trying to keep this picture. We'd get it to one and we'd just get it sent somewhere else, and they'd eliminate it from that device. We went through that for years. I think they finally got it, but it wasn't for lack of effort on our part.
That guy did get trolled by Bigfoot. That's funny.
Yeah, he did.
Big time. But I mean, they were threatening to put you in a cage, to lock you in a
Yes.
cage, get Bigfoot to save you, so they can get coverage of that, so they can get evidence, photo
Yes.
evidence, video evidence. So you pretty much just, threw it in their
I
face,
was
and
bait.
the
I
whole
was
script.
bait.
You flipped the
Yeah.
whole.
And
Yeah, their
I told
camera.
him, I said, if they get hold of me, leave me in the cage. I will get myself out. Just stay clear. And they kept saying no, they would not let it happen. And then all of this transpired. So needless to say, they never got the attempt. I did have another situation, and this was over 10, 12 years ago, where there was myself and other female researchers, which I don't consider myself a researcher. This is just the way my life is played out. I never sought to have any of this happen. It's just what happened.
Mhm,
So anyway, other researchers as well as myself, there was a group of men that had planned to beat our skulls in with a lead pipe,
mhm.
so that as our brains, as they put it, as our brains were oozing on the ground, our Bigfoot would come in to save us. And fortunately, that attempt got stopped because they shot their mouth off to the wrong person, and the authorities got hold of it. So yeah, they are not always kind in this field of research.
And that's part of the ugly side of research that people don't talk about. Like you said, the whole thing, you had the doctor, that deals with the footprint doctor, and
Mhm.
he assaulted you too. Like, he grabbed your hand and like threw you
He,
to a
yeah, he
wall.
put his hand in my arm, and he did not fling me up against the wall, but he did grab my arm rather harshly, push me up against the wall, and said, "You need to leave here now." And I said, "I'm not going anywhere." And he, "Oh, yes, you will." And I said, "Okay, well, you see the governor over there?" And he said, "Yes." Did you see that person over there? Yeah. Okay, you go tell them you want me gone. They paid for me to be here. If they want me out of here, I'm on the next plane out, because I don't have to be here. I have kids at home. I have Bigfoot at home. I have the dog men and everybody else at home. But until they tell me to leave, I owe you nothing. Here's the thing, I don't get staritis. So I don't really care what platform you're on or how much you think of yourself. What matters to me is who you are on the inside. You obviously are hollow. So I owe you nothing. And as far as letting you play with my Bigfoots, I don't own them. They are a people, they are part human. Nobody owns them except themselves and God. So they're not mine, but will I ever help you to be near them when hell freezes over? I don't
Yeah,
care if I get attacked. I don't care if I'm called a hoaxer. I know I'm not hoaxing. The people that have been around me know I'm not hoaxing. I've never hoaxed anything or lied about any of it in my life. What everybody wants to think is their own choice.
mhm.
I'm not here to prove anything, but will I ever help somebody like that have contact? Never. Not in any lifetime.
No, not someone that's going to bring out. Probably someone like that might bring out some teams that might do some harm or damage to them, just
Hmm.
to get a body for
Yeah.
science, and that's not the way to do it.
Yeah, I protected them my whole life. They've saved my life 5 times. So I think we have a pretty good working relationship.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed having you on tonight.
Oh,
If we could
thanks.
go on, we could probably go on for another 2 hours if
I
we want.
know, I know. I always have fun. I did your show one other time, and I just absolutely loved it. I've been really blessed because, well, I don't do a ton of shows. The ones I have done, I've met great people, and Duke has connected me with a lot of really good people. I'd met you anyway. And I did the one show for you and I loved it, really enjoyed myself. So I was really excited when you asked me back.
Well, it was a pleasure having you back, and I think everyone in the chat liked having you on too as well.
Okay. I enjoyed all their questions and they are all incredibly kind. I appreciate that a lot.
And if anyone needs to get a hold of you, look up Robin Haynes Mccray on Facebook, and she will gladly help you with whatever questions you
Yep.
have, or if you have problems, something on your property, need help getting it off in a peaceful manner, she can kind of work to
Yeah.
that for you. You know.
Yep. And if you can't reach me, you can get hold of Tom and he knows how to get me.
Yeah. And I definitely need to get out to your property before you get out of South Carolina because I'm dying.
Yeah. We wanted to be moved by May. I'm actually supposed to be in Michigan the first, I think it's like the 2nd through the 5th of June. And so I will still do that. I have every intention of it, but we wanted to be moved in May and that didn't happen due to some health issues. And so we are praying that we're there by the end of the summer, but it's taken us a lot longer than we wanted. I've got things that I need to take care of and make sure, everybody's where they need to be and everybody's happy and healthy. So I've got to do that first.
Yeah, family comes first no matter what, and I trust I know
Always,
about that. Like, because
always.
I try to do this, and sometimes this gets the best of me, and this kind of consumes me getting into this cryptid, work field and
It
research
is.
and investigating. And I mean, you got to have that common ground where you got to put family first because a lot of people, families, their families get destroyed because they divulge into this and it becomes their life, and that's not way. You can't put this
It's
first. I mean, I'm sure the Bigfoots know you're not supposed to put this first either. You know.
Well, and I'm very blessed because my husband speaks telepathically with them as well. He works with me on all this stuff. There's only one other person other than him that I believe are incredible at the mind speak. Like those are the two my go-to. And when we do the work that we do, because we do work for them and get sent all over the place, the three of us verify everything. We want to make sure that certain things are taken care of, that everything adds up. I do healing on them. They taught me how to heal on them. And so, you get into some dicey stuff that you can't afford to have mistakes. And so we verify everything. And so I'm very fortunate. Does it mean that he's always thrilled with the fact that I'm taking phone calls at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning? Not always. But are we going to get in screaming, yelling fits about it? No. He knew who I was when he married me. I knew who he was when I married him. And it works. It works for us. There are times where we'll look at each other and say, does this ever stop? And then we laugh and say, no, it doesn't. And then we see a face looking in the window and we're like, oh yeah, that's why it doesn't ever stop.
It's all worth it when you get the final result of you have
It is.
the abilities to communicate and see these things. I mean, that these guys are
Yeah.
they're the most elusive, the hide and seek champion of the universe. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
you get to talk to them and communicate with them and help people deal with them or relay them messages for other people. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I just wish they would be a little less forceful with my garage door right now. I've got mini pigs that have a kennel in there, and I've got my large dogs have kennels in there. And, none of my animals, other than the one
Well,
set of cats and the ducks, are outside at night. And they like to play with the animals and they get in the garage now and then. And, cages get opened and they pet them and they love on them and they're very good to them. But they have been a little bit harsh on the bottom of my garage door lately, trying to get into play with the animals. And it's the adolescents that are doing it. The bigger ones are very respectful. And so we've had to go up a few chains to get some backup from council and elders to kind of leave my garage door alone.
it's weird because I've noticed recently, and I told this to Duke. I think I told it to Duke when my littlest dog, my little puppy dog, she's a Chihuahua
Mm-hmm.
uh, and a Jack Russell mix. Well, she's the baby dog of the family. She was out in the woods behind the fence one night, and I couldn't find her. And I went over the fence, and she was on the other side of the fence. I'm like, how did she get there? There's no holes around my fence for them. I was like, did the Bigfoots take you and play with you in the woods or something?
Yeah, they will.
Wow.
They will. They took my daughter Shih Tzu one time, and I heard her yiping, and it was like from 9 foot up in the air. And I saw a white Bigfoot running through the woods, and I knew I could never catch up with him. So I jumped in our truck and I drove to the end of the driveway because at that time it was a very long driveway. And I got to the end of the driveway and I didn't see him. And I thought, please tell me he's not in a portal with that dog. My daughter's going to have a stroke. I'm out there just to yell. And why I do this, I don't know, because I'm not a person that's a big yeller. I can go there, but I try not to anymore than I have to. And I don't try to do it with them because they don't take kindly to that at all. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you will bring that dog back right now, or I'm going to find you. And I'm like, shooting my mouth off. And of course, they laugh at me. But I didn't see him. So I turned around, I drove up to the door, and he was sitting around the porch.
Wow.
He says, I just wanted to play with her. We have Great Pyrenees. We have 14 dogs right now. And a lot of them were from the rescue, are not adoptable, or have gone through such abuse. I will never let them ever have a chance of being with any place that could hurt them again. They can barely handle us. And so we have 14 right now. And we have a Great Pyrenees, and they absolutely adore her, love her. They are forever tossing stuff. I have a fenced in backyard. They're forever throwing things in there. And I'll go and I'll walk through around the perimeters of the yard and just make sure there's nothing out there when I let them out that could hurt them. So I
Yeah.
walked around one day, everything was fine. I walked in the house. I looked outside 15 minutes later. She's carrying around a 2x4 in her mouth.
I
I'm
remember you
like,
saying
seriously?
that. Yeah. Where'd you
They
get that two
still,
from?
we have no idea where it came from. They have stolen shoes off people's back porch and tossed it into the dogs for the dogs to play. They have gone and gotten clothes off the clothesline of one of my neighbors, and I find them folded up on my porch. And I'm like, the neighbors are going to think I'm a klepto or something. Will you just stop?
Oh,
They
maybe they
brought me
thought.
my others on the other side. My neighbor had a blue flower pot, and they brought it over and put it, and they almost like planted it in the ground in the back of my yard. And I
Maybe
saw
they.
it and took it over to her, and I said, is this yours? She said, yeah, it's been gone for about 4 months. I said, well, they took it and planted it in my yard. So, but she's seen them as well now.
Wow. So he wants to know
I
about.
do gift out apples and fruit now and then. The ones in Michigan would take anything I offered them, no problems. The one in South Carolina, it's extremely iffy if they do or not. Now, if they need something, they don't hesitate to say, hey, I need this, please get this, and I'll go get it. But, and I stress this to everybody, when you gift, it's for them, it's more the action of you gifting it to them than actually taking it. So let it sit for a while. Sometimes it takes weeks before they figure out that it's not a trap, because people have hunted them for so long. But also, don't think if they don't take it, it's that they don't appreciate the gesture, because it's actually more about the gesture than the actual taking of the gift to them.
Yeah. That's probably most likely. And I've noticed where some things I put out, they won't take it right away. But now it's like things don't even last a day now. So it must have been like
Because
a pure. There was like a testing to make sure it wasn't a trap, to make sure.
exactly.
And then now they know that everything I put out there is okay. They just kind of go for it. It's all free range now. Whatever's out there, it's like okay,
Yeah, yeah,
buffet time.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I do appreciate you again, Robin, and we definitely have to do this again. I need to definitely come out to your area before you move, because
Yes.
I'd love to
Yeah,
enjoy
we'll make
and
sure.
experience something intense as what you have out there.
It,
You know,
we'll get a couple days where it's dead quiet, and then it's like everything just goes up and everything's all over the place. So
so
you never know. I don't have any control over when they come and when they don't come. Generally, at some point during the day or night, somebody hits the house or taps on the window, or something. We'll have nights where it's like a free for all in the backyard because they're all running around like hooligans, and then it'll go a week and I won't see any in the backyard, but they'll be tapping on the windows at the house. I honestly have no control over it. I get people that contact me and say, hey, if I come out, can you show me the Bigfoot? Number one, they're not mine. Two, they are never going to care what we have to say. They will try to accommodate us at times, but we really don't have that kind of control over them.
mhm, yeah, nope, not that kind of control. Well, I'm going to end this now, guys. I appreciate all everyone in the chat, and I appreciate you very much, Robin. It's always a pleasure having you on. You have a lot of good insight and your knowledge,
Thank you so
experience.
much for having me.
Yeah, yeah,
We will
absolutely,
do it again.
absolutely.
Everybody take care.
Good night, everybody.
Night. Bye bye.